What's going on? Welcome back to 100% NUFC. So I'm joined by Newcastle fan Col. He is from 100% Mags. So don't forget to go along and subscribe to him on YouTube. He's a fantastic YouTuber. Help him along to 300 subscribers. And we're going to talk about Steve Bruce. Now, Steve Bruce, of course, has been linked with Newcastle over the course of the last 4 or 5 days. And we're talking that he could be Newcastle manager anytime soon. So, Col, what's your thoughts about the current situation regarding Bruce?
To be honest, he's not very good. Looking at his past record in the Premier League, with Hull, with Sunderland, Birmingham City when he was there, it's just not very good. He doesn't have a good win record. He couldn't even cut it with Sunderland, to be honest. You know, it's 29-odd% win percentage or something like that.
Not brilliant.
Not brilliant, to be honest. And if you kind of do it with Sunderland, you know, what chance have you got doing it with Newcastle, to be honest?
Do you think it's a little bit of a rushed appointment? Because if it is going to be Steve Bruce, then we're kind of downgrading, aren't we, from Rafa Benitez to Steve Bruce. That is the reality, and that's what we're going to have to put up with next season for any fans that are going to go.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to definitely be downgrading. If you look at Rafa, he's won the Champions League with Liverpool, he's won the Europa League in 2012 with Chelsea. You know, he's won stuff everywhere he goes, bar none. And then you look at Steve Bruce, and let's face it, he only had a final with Hull City, which he ended up losing. And you know, it's just really, really poor. Rafa Benitez is an elite coach. Steve Bruce is not even on that level.
So if you look at Steve Bruce, like his CV, it's not brilliant. I mean, some of the clubs he's been at, for example, Birmingham, Wigan, Hull, Aston Villa, possibly Villa being the biggest club, and he's going to come to Newcastle. Now, I can understand why a lot of fans won't take Steve Bruce because of his son and connections, but if push come to shove, would you take Steve Bruce because we need a manager? Because I think now we can't pick and choose anymore, and that's not down to the fans.
Yeah.
That's down to Mike Ashley and Lee Charnley wasting time. What's your thoughts, just before touch on Steve Bruce, Sam Allardyce turning Newcastle down as well? I mean, does that not speak volumes if Big Sam's turning you down?
Well, to be honest, Sam Allardyce turning you down is a good thing. That shows that he's seen what's going on at Newcastle. Let's not forget, Sam Allardyce likes to go out, he likes to buy the 30-year-old players and older. You know, look at, I think it's Bolton. When he was there, he had a Fernando Hierro, was it?
But he's done a good job, to be fair, Bolton. But apart from that, he's not really done a great deal, has he? I mean, I would say he was a bit harshly sacked as Newcastle manager. He has been on to say that in the past, but he did say on TalkSport that the past is in the past, and I kind of agree with that. Like, as much as I don't rate Sam Allardyce, I respect him in that sense, because the club is a mess and nobody's really going to, you know, take the club forward. I mean, if you look from Rafa Benitez to Steve Bruce, that's a downgrade in itself. Now, we are hearing at the minute, he is still with Sheffield Wednesday. Of course, he is managing against Lincoln City in a pre-season friendly, but we don't know if he's going to take the club on next week or if he's going to stay with Sheffield Wednesday. There is talk that apparently it's all alleged that Newcastle can't afford the wages of a compensation package with Sheffield Wednesday. Do you not think that's embarrassing? What's your thoughts on that?
It is quite embarrassing when you consider that where Sheffield Wednesday is, what league they're in, and what kind of manager we already had in Rafa Benitez. So if you're not able to go out there and pay 5 to 6 million for somebody like Steve Bruce, when you could have easily just paid that 5 to 6 million if you're going to pay for Steve Bruce for somebody like Rafa Benitez, who is by far a much better manager, you know, that just proves right there what kind of situation it is, what kind of crap that we're going to be having it this season. To be honest, the first game of the season against Arsenal, you know, really looks like it's going to be a 4-0 loss or something like that, you know, a big beating. Well,
Arsenal, they're all saying boycott Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal are streets ahead of us, and if the result is sort of 3 or 4-0 to Arsenal, that's just a sign of things to come for the new season. Like I say, on my opinion, I will sort of back Steve Bruce. That doesn't mean I'm going to go back next season. I'm only saying it because we need a new manager. I mean, who else is going to manage, you know, Newcastle under Mike Ashley? And I'll say that to you. Who's going to manage Newcastle? Being realistic, who's going to take the job? Because any else, Bruce, I can't see it. I don't want a manager, you know, from the other side of the world who I've never heard of. And I'll say Cocu, for example, at Derby County. I don't know who he is. Steve Bruce has got a little bit of experience. That's what I'll give him. But, you know, who's going to want to work under Mike Ashley? That's the problem.
Right, to be honest, I don't even think somebody like Alan Pardew would work under him, or any of the guys.
Don't go back in the past.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think any of them will want to work with him again. They've already worked with him. They know what he's like as an owner, you know. So I think it'll probably be more along the lines of, which I don't like to see it, but somebody more along the lines of somebody like maybe Joe Kinyard, somebody like that. Somebody, you know, like
that's not going to go down too
like
well
a
with the fans.
Typical yes man, somebody like that, somebody that Ashley can control and knows for a fact that he's going to be able to go, right, we want to buy that player, you know, and that's who we want. You're not going to buy your players, you're not going to go out and get this player. It's you know, for instance, like going to Arsenal and buying somebody from them for a big amount of fee.
So last question to Cole before we wrap things up on his side. So at the minute we're still haven't got a manager. Would you take Steve Bruce or would you take someone else, and who would it be? Under Mike Ashley.
Well, I'd take Steve Bruce at this situation. I'm not the biggest fan of him. As I have said on my own channel, I'm not the biggest fan of him. But at the moment, it doesn't look like there's going to be anybody else that's willing to take the job. And he is a local lad, even though he is 15 miles, I think it is, his birthplace at Corbridge, from Newcastle. So, you know, if you want to class that as a local lad. But to be honest, if not for Steve Bruce, I would probably go for somebody like...
Don't say John Carver.
No, not
Don't
John
say
Carver.
Pardew. Don't say McLaren.
I'd say somebody like maybe an Eddie Howe or a Sean Dyche.
The only issue you got with that is, are Bournemouth going to let Eddie Howe go knowing that they spend money, and is Burnley going to let Sean Dyche go because they've got a project there? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
are they going to want to manage under Mike Ashley? It would make sense, but yeah, for me, you're probably looking at someone from a different part of the world who we've never heard of.
I have seen talk of Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, who used to be at Arsenal. He was quite tempted in the role, but they have said that they're not really interested in bringing him in because he wants to go out and he wants to buy the players, which is a similar situation to Rafa, which that doesn't work under the Ashley regime and under the Ashley policy.
We're joined by Archer. We're going to talk about the latest on Steve Bruce. So we're hearing this week that he has been linked with the Newcastle job. We're going from Rafa Benitez to Steve Bruce. What's your thoughts on Steve Bruce potentially managing Newcastle, leaving Sheffield Wednesday?
It's an absolute joke. Rewind that, Steve fucking Brooks. You gotta be joking, man. It's like we've gone from Rafa Benitez, who was a Champions League winner with Liverpool, and obviously he came with us. So Rafa Benitez to me is up here.
Yeah.
Steve Bruce is way down there.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I mean, his CV tells you it all. I mean, he's been to some clubs like Aston Villa, Hull, Birmingham, Wigan, and clubs like that. And obviously the biggest club there would be Villa. Managing Newcastle for me is a massive step up, despite the mess that we're in. Of course, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Of course, it's not my cup of tea, but I have said on this video before, I would take it because we need a manager. We've been going on too long this summer. They're trying to hire a manager. That's not the fans' fault, by the way. That's down to Mike Ashley because he doesn't run the club correctly. The statement should have been released in May. We're now in the middle of July. It's all a mess at the minute, isn't it? Especially with Steve Bruce not having the welcome that he needs, from the fans. I mean, he's going to get judged, of course, because the players such as Rondon, they're not coming back. Perez has been sold. Do you give Steve Bruce any chance of managing Newcastle next season? If he was to take the job, would you back him?
Well, obviously, probably would, but my feelings for Steve Bruce is like, I just can't stand him. Like, obviously, the managing career he's been like you say, he's been with Sunderland, Wigan, Aston Villa, Birmingham, Crystal Palace, you name it, and obviously Hull, but he's just more of like a mid-table manager. This club's just going absolutely way backwards. It's like, well, once this new season kicks off, and if Bruce does get the job, we're just gonna go way too.
Yeah, I think that's the concern. We're not having Perez and Rondon. We've lost at least 20 plus goals for next season. That's lost from the season just gone, and we need to replace that. I mean, you can't see Bruce getting the backing, that Benitez got. I see that Benitez got. That someone like Steve McLaren got. I mean, he blew £80 million on absolute dross but got relegated. You look at Steve Bruce, he's probably not going to get that backing if he is to get the job. At the end of the day, for me, Steve Bruce isn't the problem. The problem will always be Mike Ashley, and that's where I do feel a little bit sorry for him, because of course he might not want the job. We might just be talking about it. It might just be paper talk. Of course, the papers are talking about that Newcastle can't afford the compensation package with Sheffield Wednesday, which I find embarrassing. What's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely a joke.
This is Sheffield Wednesday we're talking about, mate, in the Championship.
I know. Like, it's just absolutely completely bonkers. They can't even afford to buy compensation for 5 million or something for Pussy. selling Perez for 30 million to Leicester. Something's definitely going on, you know.
So obviously, I guess you're not obviously a fan of Steve Bruce and you don't want him in the football club. So let's just ask you this question then. The takeover seems like it's dead on its arse. Looking at the potential managers out there, some might be still in jobs, some won't be. Mike Ashley's the owner. Who would you want?
Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't mind someone like Sean Dice or Wenger on the radio. One of them three would have been alright. Out of them three, I would probably take Wenger.
Thing is, all 4 of their managers that you mentioned would be good appointments. However, with Mike Ashley being at the football club, he's not going to pay the wages. You know, if you couldn't pay $6 million a year for Rafa Benitez, and you couldn't pay the money for Steve Bruce, as he alleged from what we had on the papers, what makes you think he's going to pay for the wages of Mourinho or some Wenger, who are probably on a bit more money?
He's just he's so tight with money, but obviously once this season kicks off, if Bruce comes in, who on earth is Bruce gonna sign? We don't even know.
Well, this is it. The Perez money probably won't be spent. I mean, £30 million down the drain for us that we're not going to see.
And then obviously we've got, like, if we don't bring in at least a striker, because a centre forward and a striker, they're the ones that score goals for you. Midfielders don't do that, so that means we're only kind of rely on Almiron to score goals. Obviously we've got Mudo, Gale and Hustle who can't score for shit, and I can't even stand them. But they'll not at least score what
The goals that Rodon and Perez got last season.
They'll be lucky if we score like 5 or 6.
Well, as I've said before with Mags, I said that I'll back Steve Bruce, but I won't be going back next season because at the end of the day we need a manager. We can't faff around anymore, and it is what it is. Mike Ashley, and that's what Mike Ashley is. He's a pound for pound owner, and it pains us to say he's not going to reinvest, in the football club, and we are just customers, and we will always be customers until we decide that one day we're going to have a brain and keep away and not give them any more money. And when Sky Sports and BT come around, when they pan around the ground and see that the ground's half empty, they'll keep away. And when Mike Ashley's not making any money and the fans decide that they don't want to go back, then Mike Ashley will decide to sell up. But as I've said before, if fans do want to go to the games next season, you're more than your rights to do that. It's your club, you go and support the lads. But like I say, when results go really bad next season, whether it's Bruce or whoever is in charge next season, don't complain to me or anybody else that decides to keep away. And I will make one thing clear. I have seen fans say that if you don't go back next season and you decide to keep away, that you're not a fan. Anyone who does go to the game next season or decides to renew, you're no more of a fan than those that keep away, because at the end of the day, enough is enough, and we've had enough, and we can't do much more now. We're always going to continue to go backwards, and if letting Rafa go, letting Perez go is not a wake-up call, then I don't know what is. Right, with Daniel, we're going to talk about Steve Bruce. So he has been linked with the Newcastle job over the course of the last 5 days. What's your thoughts? We've gone from Rafa Benitez to Steve Bruce.
I agree with Archer, to be honest. I think he is down there, but Rafa's up there. But it probably would be a safer option considering what Mike Ashley's done to the club and that. And for financial terms, I think he would be really good for us in that era. But you don't want anyone like lower league managers who we've never heard of, or managers abroad basically, because we don't even know who some of them are, and it's crazy that we're linked with someone that we haven't heard before. Enjoy.
I mean, I have went on to say on the video that I would back Steve Bruce, for the fact is that we can't get anybody else in the football club. We've gone from Rafa Benitez to Steve Bruce. Yes, it is a downgrade, and I do admit that it is not a good appointment, but the fact is we can't mess around anymore. Appointing managers and saying we're going to have this, we're going to have that, because we're now in July. This should have been done in May, and this is all down to Mike Ashley and Lee Charnley and Penfold and people like that who are in charge of scouting managers, scouting players, and fans have been let down once more. The club's an absolute mess, and of course I can understand why fans don't want Steve Bruce because of his connections with Sunderland. He's been at Hull, Villa. They're not exactly big clubs. Maybe he's Villa to an extent, but okay. So with Steve Bruce, do you think he would get the best out of the squad if he was backed?
Potentially not, because of the way Mike Ashley's running it. I don't think he would get backed a lot, because I think if a better manager came in that we knew of, and Mike Ashley got out, that would be perfect for our club. But I don't think he'll be backed as much as what big managers would, like Rafa Benitez and other big names out there.
So as we're talking, obviously Sheffield Wednesday, they've still got Steve Bruce as manager. He is taking charge against Lincoln City. We haven't seen the press conference after the match. He might decide to stay at Sheffield Wednesday. It might be on, it might be off, we don't know. Do you think Steve Bruce will take the Newcastle job, or do you think he'll turn it down? That's a question.
I think he would actually take it because he's a Geordie, so he would actually take the job. I don't think he'll turn it down. I know Sam Allardyce turned it down because he doesn't want to work under Mike Ashley. But I know he's a Geordie as well, but also Steve Bruce wants to. I think he's consistent about doing the job because he wants to be part of Newcastle United. He's like them since he was a little kid. Everything he loves about Newcastle. He loves all the fans, supporters and all that. And the players, he's very passionate about everybody in the football club.
It says a lot though, I mean, when Big Sam's turning you down, I mean, Big Sam doesn't often turn down Premier League clubs, and he said he wouldn't go back into the past, so I have to sort of respect him in that sense. Steve Bruce, you've got to give him a chance to sort of work with the squad if he does get the job, because I think we're not going to get anybody else. We've got to realise now as fans that we're not going to get a Rafa type manager anymore. As much as that pains us and as much as we want him, we're not. Mike Ashley, if he can't afford, the potential, compensation package of Sheffield Wednesday, I mean, what's your thoughts about that? I mean, if that is the case.
I think it's really dire, to be honest. I don't really think it's good. I think it's pretty poor from our point of view. Basically, we need to aim better than this to actually aim with a chance of winning stuff as well. But I think if Mike Ashley goes and we get a decent owner, we could have a chance of winning stuff again, get the club on a high. But we're on a low at the minute because of the way he's running the football club. You'd be thinking in a shitty office right now, oh, I've done all this, I've sold Perez, I've sold Rafa, but he's going to be like, oh, well, you pay the money for the tops, but it's going to go to him, he's going to spend it on weird stuff like he has been already, and he's going to be buying more shops or and he's not going to care about anyone, but he's never cared about anyone for 12 years.
So last question to yourself then, so let's just say Steve Bruce doesn't take the job, who else is going to take the job under Mike Ashley?
To be honest, I don't think no one, but to be honest, not one person would like work under Mike Ashley because decent managers would say, oh, I want to turn this down because I want to be in the top team who it's Champions League football, Europa League football. I want to be in them competitions so I can win something. But he doesn't want to be with Mike Ashley in terms of that because it's going downhill already. We're going to finish like 17th. It'll be an achievement, but it's not like actually winning something. It's like being in the same position basically as what we have been.
So are you in favour of Steve Bruce then for next season?
I think it's the only safest option we can go for really because he's a Geordie, like I've said, and he could actually help the players. He might be able to do some of the youth team, but that's about it really.
So that's just the thoughts of Daniel. Of course, he is in favour of Steve Bruce. Now, of course, there's no right or wrong answer. At the end of the day, we're all fans. In my opinion, I believe that he deserves a chance. Every manager deserves a chance in football to see what they're about, whether they're beating Sunderland, who cares? At the end of the day, we're not going to get anybody better under Mike Ashley, and he's not going to leave anytime soon. I wish he would leave, but the point is, we need a manager for the new season. I don't want to go into the new season with Neil Redfern and Ben Dawson. That's no disrespect to them. They're under 23 coaches and under 23 coaches only, and we can't faff around. That's it. And if Bruce does come in, we're going to have to get behind them as best we can. If we end up getting relegated, we'll get relegated. At the end of the day, it's not Bruce's fault. The fault will always lie with Mike Ashley. So I want to say thank you to all three who's taken part in this video today. Mags, also Archer, and also Dan. So thank you so much for coming on the channel. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe to the channel 100% NUFC, and I'll catch you all later, okay? Over the lads.